Hello, hello. My name is SharpEyez.
And this is your friend Orc.
Orc, why are you talking like that?
I don't know, I have split personality disorders. Yeah,
Very
that's
interesting
probably why.
very interesting disorder indeed.
Indeed.
Alright, welcome to another episode of You Play We Cast, where we cast your games and stuff.
One of the best and the brightest right here.
Absolutely. This week we're actually gonna be casting some of our games as we'd like to give back to the community.
Yep. Tis the season of
Tis the
StarCraft.
season to be Glork.
Oh, and to be Sharp Eyes and be Uber Gosu.
Absolutely. Alright, so without further ado, let's get things roasted.
And toasted. And boasted.
Absolutely.
Here we go.
Alright, so it will be looking like this game is situated here on Belshire Vestige.
And it looks like this guy is in the notorious clan Van StarCraft.
Van StarCraft, where he always wears his Vans every day.
No, where he plays in a van. Exactly. Anyways.
That's very interesting, as Vans are notoriously known for lacking power connections.
And lots of children produced in the 60s.
Absolutely. Alright, spawning in the upper left-hand corner, we have our very own SharpEyez as the red Zerg. And we can hear Orc choking his chicken in the background. A very feisty chicken indeed. And spawning in the lower right-hand corner here, we have the blue Protoss,
Boom.
Van SC Kaiser. Now, Orc, how do you think he actually plays StarCraft if he's located inside a van?
Well, I mean, there are some pretty big vans. Have you seen those Dodge ones? Those things are huge. You could, like, build a house in there. A lot of people do.
A Lego house possibly, but I cannot imagine a real fully functioning house located inside a van.
Yeah, you could do it. I mean, you'd have to use, like, restrooms, some other place, but yeah, I mean, as far as, like, just putting a bed and, like, having a desk, you know? Make sure your tires aren't flat. Good balance. GG.
Actually, honestly, I mean to urinate, you could just use a water bottle, and to defecate, you could use a paper bag. So I mean, yeah,
Yep.
it is definitely possible to live inside a van.
Yep, excretion is perfectly normal when you're playing StarCraft. You know, most people wear diapers when they play, but you know, that's only true Gosu top Korean form. Yeah.
So Orc,
Def-
what kind of brand diapers do you use when you play StarCraft?
well, I like Pampers, but I actually shouldn't say this because I'm sponsored by Huggies. Oops. Oh.
And I cannot help but laugh at that. Alright, so it will be looking like the Protoss player is going for a Forge first into a Nexus fast expand here. Orc, do you think the Protoss player likes Huggies as well?
Yeah, well, of course. Well, most Protoss do, because they cry in more ways than one. That's for sure. Yeah.
And
So, I'd say, yeah.
it looks like Orc never misses an opportunity to insult Protoss players.
Yep, lowest of the low, bottom of the barrel.
Looking at here at the Zerg player, we actually do see that he has a spawning pool up and a hatchery up already. Orc, is this pretty typical for a Zerg such as SharpEyez?
Yep, pretty typical. Standard builds from both players for the most part. I believe he got his Forge first, then his Nexus, and then his Gateway. Which is pretty standard. He's got his gas pretty much on time. Throws down his cybernetics core, so that's really good. This is actually, you know, it's obviously not a complete wall off, but I tend to like these wall offs that this Protoss is doing. Yeah, because you can just hold position with probes and then maybe throw up another cannon, and of course you'll have zealots. But as we go to our Zerg player, we have no gas yet. I'd like to see speed out of your play currently, but you're droning pretty hard, which is what you should be doing. Taking a third, which is the most important thing, I'd say. You have your Overlord in a good position outside of his base. I would like to see another one to the north of his main base, So you could have full coverage on all sides and see what he's doing at all times for the most part, or if anything's leaving his base. And then, of course, make one group of lings and send one to each Zelnaga.
All right. So it does look like the Zerg player could benefit from a little bit more information, as he's kind of playing in the dark right now with just a few overlords at the outskirts of his base.
Yep, yep. Knowledge is power, as they say, and that's true in every aspect in life.
Absolutely, unless you are a dog handler.
Yes, indeed. Um, or redneck from. Yeah, I'm just gonna stop right there.
All right, moving back to the first player, we actually do see that I mean, his wall off is actually very powerful here, as it actually kind of reminds me of playing a tower defense game where units are forced to just walk across here and getting shot by this tower.
Yep, and tower defense games are good, going back to the Brood War days. And it looks like we have some pressure coming here on your natural currently.
Looking like one mothership core, one stalker, and one zealot. So a very typical harass here by the Protoss player. Can the Zerg defeat this without losing too many units and mining time?
Yeah, I think he can once these lings get out. He did not start speed yet though, so I mean that's a little mistake on his part. But yeah, I mean we got some good queen micro right now. Blue's playing pretty solid. He's actually macroing fairly well back at home, going for a Stargate opening, and here we go.
And it looks like one queen will down, but the Zerglings have surrounded both the stalker and the zealot, taking them both out.
So he recalls, which he didn't really need to because his mothership wasn't in trouble, and all he was recalling was one stalker, which died anyway. So that was kind of a herp dirt move, to say the least.
Herping
Yeah.
and derping indeed.
Yep. And
Going
slurping.
and slurping, as Orc would call it. Going back to the Protoss player, we actually do see that he is tossing a bunch of gas up, and warping in a bunch of gateway units here. Or do you think that the Protoss player has enough production buildings?
Oh, let's take a quick look here. Four gateways and a Stargate. No, not quite. Maybe make one more Stargate or two more gateways. But he's doing a good job getting +1. He's got pretty much full saturation on 2 base. He's using his chrono. He could have used it a little bit earlier though. But hey, better late than never. Our Zerg player before this battle starts. Just starting speed and teching and getting a Roach Warren, which is all pretty good. I'm probably going to get saturated on 3 bases.
It is looking like the Zerg's army will be peeking in a little bit, but opts to retreat as the Protoss wall-off is clearly superior to the unupgraded Zerglings.
Yep, both players are getting +1 for the Zerg. It's +1 range. For the Protoss, it's +1 in general for every ground unit. You guys both have full saturation on 2 base. You should get saturation on your 3rd base, which I think you're about to do, yeah. A little Overlord block, but that supply block even happens to pros, so shit happens. We got a Robo on the way from the Protoss player, which is pretty interesting. To go from Stargate into Robo this quick. I mean, it's not odd to see, into Stargate and then Robo in general, but the way this Protoss player did it was pretty interesting. He is now up to 6 gates, which is pretty standard at this time in the game. And he's definitely going for Phoenixes. Oh, as we have Queen dying.
And it looks like the harass here will be taking place as these Phoenixes will take out a Queen and 2 drones. Or do you think that the Zerg player could have benefited from joining up a lot more here, as he is actually using or opting to create units here instead of joining up his 3rd?
I think the Zerg player still could have gone drones, but you definitely want 1 spore in each base. If not 2, no, 2's overkill, but definitely 1, yeah, in your mineral line in each base. But the Zerg is staying on top of his upgrades here. He's +1 attack is about to complete. He's got the armor going. He might start +2. Phoenixers are coming back for more, but there's nothing at the 3rd base of the Zerg. Protoss is still a +1 attack. He did not start his next upgrade, but he is taking a 3rd himself. So, a pretty interesting game so far.
Does the Zerg player actually know about this other Nexus coming up? Well, let's go ahead and see the vision.
He does not.
Does not. Wow, it's a very interesting play by the Protoss, opting to expand right now, as his army is actually pretty tiny.
and both players, as we can see, are macroing fairly well. You've got the Protoss player throwing down a Twilight Council and his Robotics Bay at the same exact time, which is kind of a no-no, to say the least. Robo Bay at this time in the game would be perfectly okay, but his +2 is really, really delayed, and he could probably be almost on his way to +3 by now, like being halfway done or even being almost completed, depending on what build he did. So his Twilight Council's done. He's going to have 1-1 instead of 2-0, which I think having 2-0 is better. But anyways, he's getting Blink, as we can see, and some Immortals for now, which will probably be Colossus with Thermal Lance. What is our Zerg up to? Our Zerg is going to stay with one range of one Carapace. He's at tier 2 with Ling, Roach, Hydra, and a Spire. And here we go with an engagement.
And it will look like the Zerglings will be trying to get us around. Yeah, it looks like a half surround here. Oh, and the interesting part is that the Protoss has actually locked out some units of his own with these force fields, so they will be getting taken out. Protoss player is warping in some Stalkers. Zerg is in a very weird position right now, as he cannot break through this wall. But
definitely. The Protoss had some pretty good force fields, but I'd say all in all the Zerg is trading fairly efficiently, because while the Zerg can remake a lot of, while the Protoss can remake a lot of his army, he can really only make Zealots right now because he's building a lot of gas-heavy units, and he doesn't have the gas at his third base, nonetheless, or any probes at all. So, yeah.
One interesting thing to note is that Blink here is getting research for the Stalkers. Is Blink good versus Zerg?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, there's games where Zerg can win and they just go Blink Stalker, pure Blink Stalker with +1, +2, or +3 attack, depending on what time of the game you hit, and you bring a Warp Prism and just keep warping in. Maybe a few Zealots here and there to fend off Zerglings if they just mass Zerglings.
Alright, alright. Going back to the Zerg player, we actually do see that he still doesn't know that the Protoss has a third base.
I mean, and as much as this pains me to say this, oh, we got an engagement going on.
Looking like an engagement here. One Colossi, but I don't think this one Colossi will be enough to hold down these Hydras. But the Protoss player actually does save it, which is a very good play here. Looking like the Protoss will try to engage again. Oh, the Mothership Core will go down here. And it does look like the Zerg player is taking this opportunity to go here and destroy this third base of the Protoss.
Yeah, this is a huge blunder by the Protoss player. I mean, worst case scenario, he could have gotten charge on his Zealots and just warped in like 15 of those to help fight this army off, but losing his third when he had a pretty nice layout and a really nice wall for his third is definitely huge.
And it will be looking like these Colossi and Stalkers will be assaulting this Zerg army here. It actually looks like the reinforcements have arrived here for the Zerg player, as Roaches will be flanking. A very good engagement for the Zerg player.
Yeah, I thought the Zerg player probably would have been better off just killing a gateway and running away, but with the reinforcements and the picking off of the Colossi was really good, because Hydras and Roaches alone, let alone together, really do a lot of damage versus Stalkers and own them quite hard.
Owning quite hard indeed. Looking at the upgrades, we do see that both players are 1-1 right now. Orc, is this okay, or is this a little bit late?
What, for 1-1 for both players? I'd say it's okay for right now, but the Zerg being ahead, like I said, versus Protoss, when the Protoss has Chrono Boost, yeah, 2-2 Roach Hydra versus just 1-1 X Zerg unit, like that's not where you want to be as a Protoss player. And obviously losing the third was a big mistake, but it's not looking too good for the Protoss player. Not gonna lie.
Absolutely. It does look like Zerg is on one more base than the Protoss, and actually the Protoss is only mining from one base, so looking like the resources are rather sparse for our Protoss player here.
Yep. This could be the ending game battle here. Coming up soon.
It is looking like the Protoss Nexus will be getting cancelled. Protoss will be he is actually it's actually really interesting that the Protoss has a lot of minerals that he's not spending right now.
Yeah, he's doing a good job harassing the Zerg's fourth. I don't know if a hatchery is actually built and cancelled, but nonetheless, he's doing a good job harassing. But Still, the same old story of, two base Terran or Protoss versus a Zerg up one base, which would be three at this time, is, you're not going to win unless you have godly force fields or just a really good timing attack.
Absolutely. Or would you say that the Protoss could have benefited from a ninja base?
No, because the higher you get up, because this is diamond play that we're currently casting right now, the Zerg's definitely gonna find it because Lings are really fast and Overlords, since getting buffed, like about 6 months to a year ago, I think, are they can spot a lot, and you have the Xel'Nagas too as well.
And it does look like these zealots will get taken out here. I'm trying to harass the Zerg army. The Zerg, interestingly enough, sends his entire army to deal with those four zealots.
Yeah, and when they mean Heart of the Swarm, this is basically what Kerrigan's talking about. Your army moving across the map right now, it's pretty good. I mean, even with three Colossus, he can't be saved at this point. He needs force fields. He just basically needed his third. I mean, plain and simple. Upgrades, we got 2-1 for the Protoss, which is pretty decent, but 2-2 versus for the Zerg, that's, yeah, like I said, not where you want to be. Zerg taking his fourth, and the Protoss trying to get his third back up.
And it will be looking like these units will be engaging right now. Corruptors are actually doing insane amounts of damage versus those Colossi, and the Roaches are tanking nicely for those Hydras to just really get in that DPS.
Yeah, that was pretty much almost the perfect number of Corruptors. Pick up those Colossi really fast, another one popped out and just dies instantly. And this looks like it's going to be pretty much GG unless the Protoss has some hidden army somewhere, which it is. GG. Good
And
game.
there is the GG. Alright, going to the post-game analysis screen. Orc, what could the Zerg player have done better this game?
Um, Let me see here. Looking at the end of this game. Well, the Zerg player had Hive Tech, which was really good. He did not get Burrow, which could deny some Protoss expansions, even though it's not as effective because they have observers. A fourth base a lot sooner would have been nice with a bunch of spines, maybe a spore or two. But overall, the Zerg played fairly well. Creep spread could have been improved as well, and then map awareness. That's pretty much all I saw. And then injects, of course, always, but that's every Zerg player.
Alright. And
And
how?
Protoss,
Yeah.
I'd say a few more sentries. He had a really nice wall off at his third. So I mean, if you look right here, like there's only two ramps to get to his second, to get into his first expo and his second and his third base. And if you had some force fields to cut apart the Hydra and Roach army, that would have been really effective. And also, if I was a Protoss player and I had something, let's say like 300 or less gas, I would instantly get Zealot charge upgrade just to use my minerals because he had like 2,500 banked, which you make 20 Zealots, that's going to fend off your army, and then he has a third. The game continues, and then it's three base versus three base. So a lot of different scenarios could have happened, like in every game of StarCraft 2.
Absolutely. Orc, is the charge upgrade ever a bad option to pick for the Protoss in general?
In general, no, it's pretty much always good. Versus Zerg, you usually always want to get Blink first before charge, but like you have to do what you have to do to fend off certain armies and keep certain bases alive, and that's one thing I would have done as the Protoss, for sure.
For sure, indeed. Orc, also, what do you think about this map? I mean, um, like you were saying, Akalon Waste, that map over there is really good for Protoss as they can actually seal off their third. But what about this one? Um,
Um,
are any races going to be favored because of the map layout?
it's a really balanced map in general, but I'd say this is another good. It's not as good as Akalon. Akalon's definitely the best for Protoss when it comes to getting a three base. This map is also fairly well. Like he is good as well. Like he walled off. I mean, you can kill the rocks and then it'd be another wall off behind that. Um, and yeah, and then there's just two ramps you have to worry about while you're just maxing up on upgrades and getting a huge death ball. So I'd say actually now that I look at it and casting this game, these are probably the two best maps for Protoss to take a third.
All right. Very good notions here by Orc, as these tips could help you either go from bronze to silver, or silver to masters, or masters to grandmaster. So
Or go from GM to bronze because your brain is getting fried with useless information. Just kidding.
absolutely. All right. Well, that concludes the cast. My name is SharpEyez,
And this is Orc.
and we are signing off.